Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to my Madden 20 Jets franchise. This is an exciting one. Madden this year, franchise mode in particular, didn't add a lot, but I think I have some ideas to make this pretty fun. And I think the Jets are a really fun team to use. We're gonna have a quick little look at the roster, pretty much an overview. Like, I think one of the interesting storylines is certainly Sam Darnold. Can he be a franchise quarterback? I think he's certainly got that upside in Madden. 23, 73 overall with star depth. Certainly has a chance to be very good. Another guy, James Morgan. I don't know if we'll ever get a chance to be a starter. He's very similar to Darnold, but I think with the relative team control we have him in the next 4 years, I think he could be a very solid backup. He's got a pretty solid arm too. Le'Veon Bell, obviously one of the elite weapons on this team, one of the few weapons at all on this team. Can run the ball, catch the ball. Obviously, there's been talk. Gaze actually made up with him, it seemed like, a little bit. Obviously, in real life, Gaze didn't really love the signing of Bell. And obviously, because he had that big old deal as a running back, he's making like, what, $13, $14 million a year for the next 3 years. So it's going to be really interesting to see what we're going to inevitably do with him while he's on the team for the entirety of the contract, or we move him, or we cut him. But Pirine and Cannon at running back, they excite me a lot. I think they have a lot of upside. They're very different running backs, which I kind of like. They can they fit very well together. Obviously, I don't think they're not gonna be the 1-2 punch anytime soon. But I think that there's a good chance one of them turn out to be a pretty solid, at least a rotation back, a good solid second back. I'm not sure. I do like them both. They play pretty well in the preseason. At receiver, this is where it gets a little bad for Rosen. We don't have a lot of guys who can go out there and make plays, which is disappointing for Darnold, and maybe that's why he wasn't playing up to his capabilities, maybe. But Crowder is a solid guy. Anunwa is injured. Bellini's injured. Perryman he's a fun receiver, and he's been pretty productive for me. I played a couple games. He's got like that, he's like 6'2", 94 speed. Mims, very similar player. He's that 6'3", 92 speed, very big, athletic guy. He's got all kinds of potential to be a really good player for us, and I'm excited to use him. Like he's made some really good plays that I've seen, and I think he could certainly continue to develop. Herndon, very solid tight end, only 24, and that's the big key. He's got plenty of room to grow at only 24 years old, 72 overall. He's got some really solid hands. He's not that vertical threat, but I think he can be very productive. Obviously, Makai Bechten, one of the best O-linemen drafted last year, had some of the most upside. Did end up sliding, I think it was, what, like the third tackle drafted, third or fourth. But he's going to be very good for us. One of the only few, pretty much the only player on this O-line that's cemented future for this team. There are some interesting guys like Adoga at right tackle who will get the start. He's pretty young. He's got a good amount of upside too. And you compare his ratings to Fant, they're very similar. And I want to get some development for Adoga. And he held up really well in the preseason. So I decided to give him a shot. And I don't know. I was happy with him. I think with 23, he's got plenty of room to develop. One of the only guys besides Bechten that I think has some upside. And this D line, man, does not. Besides Quentin Williams, I don't think has a lot of upside. Maybe they can prove me wrong. But Quentin Williams can kind of do it all. A little bit of disappointing rookie year for him, but I think he'll bounce back really big for us. Generally, like I said, the production not that great from the D line. I know we are in a 3-4 though, so our outside linebackers are very important. And the outside linebacker position for us, to me, is very interesting because we don't have any solidified veterans at outside linebacker to be our more pass rush capable players. Eventually, I kind of want to get a hybrid that can rush the passer, playing coverage, because they kind of have to do that with the way we set up a bit. But there's a lot of young guys, a lot of upside, and I'm very intrigued if one or two or three of them could develop. Obviously, in terms of the inside linebacking group, Mosley's one of the best in the game. His problem is he can't stay healthy. Another one of his problems right here is contract. Linebacker's kind of a position now in the NFL that people tend to not to want to pay, and that's another interesting one with Avery Williamson because his contract's up at the end of the year, and we have a couple other guys like Cashman on the interior as an interior linebacker that I think has plenty of upside. He's very athletic, good user if I wanted to use her. I will use her a bit, but I kind of want to make it realistic. I don't want my middle linebacker getting 20 picks a season. Also, I don't think that's too possible in this year's Madden. It seems like you hold triangle since I'm on PlayStation. Your player doesn't tend to jump towards the ball. They tend to be in quicksand. I feel when I hold triangle, they don't move a lot. Safety is very interesting. Free safety, Ashton Davis intrigues me a bunch. Super athletic, young, but at free safety, Marcus May is the veteran. He's still relatively young. His contract's up at the end of the season, so that's a guy I want to try to sign, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen. But I don't know if he'll ever be a superstar for us, but I think he'll be a very, very solid player. He's one of the better players on this defense right now. And I was looking at the strong safety, and I was looking at Ashton Davis, and I realized I rather try to develop Davis because they're very similar in overall, and I think Davis's speed could be very helpful. So I did end up moving Davis to strong safety. With the move to strong safety, obviously then there's a pretty stacked room. McDougall is a very solid veteran, but I don't think he's that much. I think he's only marginally better once you break down some of the stats, marginally better than Davis. And so I rather try to get some development out of Davis, but I did have McDougall start for the preseason. We'll see in a little bit, because I definitely want Ashton Davis to get a couple more reps, give him the ability to gain some more XP. Special teams, nothing too special at kicker, but man at punter, rookie, he's got hidden development. I'm assuming it's star, but that's pretty exciting. This is what's really exciting is these two first-round picks in the next 2 years that don't belong to us. Obviously part of the Adams trade. And the extra third-round pick too. And we have a lot of holes in the O-line, a lot of holes in terms of playmakers, secondary, D-line. So we're gonna have to hit on those picks, and it's good to have a couple extra assets in that first round. I think it allows us to get a couple players. I'm not sure what we're gonna exactly target right now, because at the end of the year, all we know is Darnold could be, could have had a terrible year, and maybe we're looking for a quarterback. I don't anticipate that right now, but it is a possibility. In terms of the focus players, I got Bechten, obviously, young rookie. Darnold, because I want to give Darnold every chance to be a starting quarterback in the league. I think he's certainly still got that upside, but we don't know. Denzel Mims I have in the third spot right now, but I do flip him with Quentin Williams a little bit, because they're both young players and I want to develop them. Mims, though, without that development, that's kind of why I don't love putting him in there, because I can't maximize the focus because he doesn't have the star. But I think he's certainly a guy. I think he can maybe give us like 700-800 yards, 5 touchdowns as a rookie, and hopefully he could push to be the rookie of the year. Because if he could do that, maybe get a development trade. I think if we can somehow get him to star dev at like 76 by the start of next year, I think there's a very good chance he's going to be a stud for us. Even if we don't, I think he could still be very good for us, but I think that would certainly solidify his ability to develop. Obviously, Madden's very heavily based off dev traits, but if you have one good year and you get a star dev, and then he'll continue to develop, maybe he'll get a breakout. Maybe he'll get a breakout this year, and then he'll be a star dev before the off season, which I would personally like. Not sure if that will happen. But looking at this team, I don't know if we're going to be able to compete this year. And if we don't, I definitely want to liquidate some of these veteran assets. And Mosley could be possibly one. And Bell certainly could possibly be one. And we saw me with the secondary right there, a couple corners. We kind of have 2 slot corners in Poole and Desir. And I don't love that, so I gave Austin the start as a number 1 corner, because I really don't want to see Desir try to cover someone on the outside. He's not athletic enough. Only 88 speed in this game. They brought him in to be a slot guy, obviously, so he is playing the slot for us. And for the most part, the specialist, it does change quite a bit for me, because like I said, we have so many guys, especially at the rushing right end, rushing left end. We have so many guys who are young and have some upside, and I just didn't know what I wanted to go with. This is the first play of the preseason for us. First play of the season was a Quentin Williams sack. That's exciting. He does that. He has been pretty productive in terms of getting to the quarterback with me. And in the preseason, I like Darnold. I think Darnold played pretty well. I was trying some of these different plays, kind of trying to test out to see how Madden would play this year, and that was a pretty nice juke right there. And that's kind of what he is. He's a very shifty guy. But just personally for me in Madden, I think it's played better in some aspects. In other aspects, you'll see later in the season, I didn't love them. But this was a dime by Morgan. That's why I liked Morgan. This one play, he threw it with some good zip, placed in the perfect spot right to Denzel Mims. And Denzel Mims, big body. You'll see him on a couple of these plays, just shield him with the body, which does seem to be an improvement in this year. Like, the receivers don't let the DBs just not necessarily jump the route, because they never jump the route. It's just the receiver didn't react to it. And a couple of these times, the DB actually jumps the route, but it seems realistic, so I like it. It's not that the receiver didn't make any kind of play, and that does happen a little bit. And with linebacker, even though I said there's a lot of guys with high upside that can rush the passer, I wanted to bring in Griffin. I think he's very fast. He's another pass rush option. We move Harrison. The Seahawks need it. A player like that, and I think he'll fit them well, and I think Griffin will fit us well. And this is one where I wasn't sure about Darnold's arm strength, but he was able to zip that one in there right to Perryman, and that's what Perryman does a bunch for us. He's fast. He's got that big body. He really makes plays. These last two plays are a good showing of these backup running backs we have in P. Ryan and Cannon and Adams right here. Like, we got some talent back there. They might not have the greatest overalls, but like P. Ryan, in my opinion, he only had like 85 or 86 speed, but he felt really quick and he felt powerful. So he was pretty good. Cannon he's very athletic, like 92 speed, 95 acceleration, good special teamer. This is another dot. I was having some fun on those go routes. They were pressing us. And we don't have some of those receivers don't have the greatest release, but they're able to break off those routes pretty well. A really good pass by Darnold. That's a connection we're going to see a bunch. Another quick look at our running game. P. Ryan was fun. These are just showing some of the more shorter runs, but generally I was very happy with them. Quick look at the stats. Nothing too special. You see, I did throw 4 picks in this game for Darnold, 5 picks in total. Sometimes the DBs are still kind of crazy, and there's no sliders out currently, so I'm just kind of tweaking a little bit. For these games, I play with like 45 interceptions for the CPU, and that still seemed kind of strong. And I didn't change it until like week 3, and I'm not saying the best quarterback. I thought I didn't make some terrible reads, and sometimes it was just kind of frustrating when a DB has better hands than my receiver. My receiver will get like the ball poked out every other time, and the DB will just moss it. A 5'10" DB will moss Perryman, who's like what 6'2". So I don't know. I'll have to change. I'll have to look at that a bit. I know there's gonna be continue to be more, or some sliders come out, and hopefully we'll get those soon. Clean up the gameplay. I've changed some XP sliders too. I kind of copied what I had last year for Madden. They're not too much of a difference, but stuff like O-line get a little bit of an XP boost, which I think is kind of important. But that kind of wraps it up. We'll start with week 1 and week 2 of the regular season next week. I didn't show you guys the cuts. None of the big guys got cut really, but yeah, week 1 and week 2. And then I think my game plan is to kind of play 2 games an episode. Sometimes I might play a game and then play the moments in another game just to kind of move it fast.